But we don't show prep, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show prep.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 6 Rings Kane show. Thank you to everybody that's going to watch the show. Everybody's watching now. How's it going, fellas? 2-0 now for the Miami Hurricanes. Off to a good start. And now what's turned into potentially 3 ranked games in a row.
Well, I think it's not going to be 3.
Actually, yeah, I think it's not true.
This week is a ranked game instead of next week is what's happened. They have switched places.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely. They switch places, and we'll be playing in front of everybody. Look, there's a lot of complaining going on right now, and I got a bone to pick with some Canes fans, and I'll get to it in just a second. But really quick, obviously, Miami Hurricanes beat Bethune-Cookman 45-3 this past weekend over at Hard Rock Stadium, and we got a lot to cover on that game, plus more as we, as I mentioned. Now we preview the big game, the big matchup. Now it's turned into a big top 20 matchup between the Miami Hurricanes and South Florida this weekend coming up, as they are now ranked 18th in the country after another top 25 win over the Florida Gators this past weekend. So got a lot to go over, but before we get to that, let's give a shout out to one of our newest sponsors, which we're really excited about, that just came on board. It's 305-800-PAIN. There we go, baby. After an accident, every minute counts. With one call to 305-800-PAIN, you get immediate access to trusted doctors and attorneys who guide you step by step. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, they are a brand you can trust. Much like 5 Reasons Canes, 305-800-PAIN is focused on the local community of Miami-Dade County and South Florida. They'll handle your accident needs, including car accidents, personal injuries, and related legal matters. So after an accident, be sure to call 305-800-PAIN. The number is the brand, 305-800-PAIN. Después de un accidente, cada minuto cuenta. Con una llamada a 305-800-PAIN, ustedes pueden obtener acceso inmediatamente a doctores y abogados para ayudar con todo el proceso. Con una clasificación de A+ del Better Business Bureau, pueden confiar en ellos. 305-800-PAIN tiene mucho en común con 5 Reasons Canes. Están enfocados en la comunidad local de Miami-Dade County y el Florida del Sur. Ellos pueden ayudar con todo después de un accidente, incluyendo accidentes de carro, lesiones personales y otras cosas legales relacionadas. Entonces, después de un accidente, llama 305-800-PAIN. El número es el nombre de la marca, 305-800-PAIN, or 800-PAIN. Check them out. All right. So as I mentioned previously, we got a lot to cover. I think obviously we'll get through Bethune-Cookman, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and some other news team related as well. So we'll get into that in just a second as the Miami Hurricanes beats Bethune-Cookman 45-3. As a matter of fact, before I get into my rant, because I think I want to talk about some positive stuff. First and foremost, Vish, you and I were at the game. Blue, you were there as well. DJ, you got to see some things on TV that maybe we don't see live. So, a lot of things that we can definitely discuss. And actually, I'll start off with you, DJ, on what stood out to you in this 45-3 victory the most. What, good, bad, indifferent, but we'll start off with some of the good and kind of work our way through that.
Again, I wanted to see if good habits that were practiced in the Notre Dame game would translate to this Bethune-Cookman game as they continue to build their way throughout the course of the season. And it was, again, the connection between Carson Beck and Malachi Toney that really stood out to me. We know Toney's a damn good receiver by this point, and we know Beck's a very good quarterback. And the rapport, the connection is definitely there. I thought with the injury to Jordan Lyle, Mark Fletcher stepped up and delivered in a big way. And it seems like he's done that throughout the entirety of his career here. And he had a very strong day and was able to find the end zone twice. So that was a positive for me too. And overall, just the balance of the offense in this game and multiple contributors stepping up and continuing the good habits that we saw in a much tougher game against Notre Dame.
Yeah, obviously, I think Bethune-Cookman was going to do some things. What's up, Andres? That we're going to do some things that we're going to make it frustrating, I think, for Miami to get their thing rolling. But as we notice, the biggest thing for me that we noticed right off the bat, Vish and Blue, is that they were going to slow things down. They were going to slow things down as slow as possible because they knew that when Miami had the football, they were going to be able to score, march down the field. I think we easily could have put 50, 60 points on this team had we, had maybe their offense played with a little more tempo per se. But I think really what it comes down to is the execution. As you mentioned, DJ, Miami scored on just about every possession. I think they didn't score on one or two towards the end of this of the game there, as they put in some of their backups, some of their 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s, as I said in my little short a couple days ago. But Vish, what did you notice? What stood out to you the most from that win this past Saturday?
Yeah, Carson Beck's accuracy. Hit his first 15 passes, school record. Again, it's easy to say it's just Bethune-Cookman, but we played a lot of football since 1986 and not had a quarterback do that. So that was a big positive. CJ Daniels is not and Carson Beck referenced this in the middle of last week when he said, he makes those circus catches and traffic catches in practice all the time. Saw a couple of contested catches for touchdowns from CJ Daniels, so that was good to see. DJ touched on Malachi Toney's explosiveness. I think you actually see it a little bit more even in this game when the other team's athletes aren't as able to keep up. So no, it was a good performance. I like how, at least on both sides of the ball, at least they came out very focused. The game was over immediately, which again, you're not going to lose to Bethune-Cookman. Only Florida State and Florida lose to FCS teams. So, they weren't going to lose the game, but just that it was over pretty much immediately. Came out focused. Wes maybe a little too focused, but other than that, it was smooth and it was over despite, FAMU trying to extend, not FAMU, Bethune-Cookman trying to extend the game and play slow. The Canes still put it away and pretty much immediately and didn't let it drag out. then some of the backups, you're not necessarily going to have a little bit of a, intensity drop. And then, once you start mixing and matching players that probably don't even practice together a lot, you're going to have a little bit of a letdown. But I liked how just immediately both sides of the ball for the first 3 offensive and defensive possessions, just touchdowns and punts, and the game was over. So I like that. I like the focus.
Blue, going to you, Blue, on this. As Vish mentioned, 15 of 15 for Carson Beck to start the game. Broke a 39-year record held by Vinny Testaverde, who went 14 of 14 back then. Really cool to see that, that Carson Beck is coming in here. He's got control of this offense. He's obviously, got great rapport with a lot of his teammates, whether they be the skill position guys, the offensive line guys. A lot of really great connections that he's able to have, not only with like his first 2 or 3 receivers, CJ and Malachi, Keelan Marion is obviously running with the ones right now, but you saw some of the other guys come in, like Tony Johnson finally get to catch this. They implemented the tight ends a little bit more this game. You saw it a little more towards the end of the game where Schott got his opportunity and Luka Gilbert. Look, at the end of the day, I think that whatever the reason was that, Lofton didn't get playing time last week. I know a lot of people said that he was on a pitch count or whatnot. You got to use those guys. Those guys are way too good. They're too much of a mismatch for a lot of people. Aside from that, like your outlook. And so here's the question I really want to ask you, right? Besides what you took out of this victory, what you saw that you liked, a lot of people are talking about the fact that there was a little bit of quote unquote letdown when you bring in the 2s and the 3s, and they have a little bit of a letdown. Let's be honest, right? Like, we're talking about a Bethune-Cookman game where chances are the intensity, as Vish mentioned, is going to kind of diminish a little bit. You've got the game in hand. You're going to dominate this team. I don't care if you're Alabama or if you're someone else. Look, all those teams are going to score 40, 50, 60 points. We did the same thing. Why are so many people focused on, well, the intensity wasn't the same and we didn't score 75 points in this game? What do you think kind of led to Miami? Would it be dialing it down a little bit? Would it be just the fact that they were maybe working on some different things? They brought in Emory Williams in the second half. Are you really concerned by anything that happened in that game?
No, but you got to figure this. Miami's got 2s, 3s, and such that haven't played yet against the ones of Bethune who have, and that makes a difference. They've got more experience. They have 11 guys that played Power 4 football before Bethune. It's not like they strolled in here with crap. I mean, Timmy McLean played, he was at USF, UCF. They had 3 other kids, the linebackers. Every time they made a name, I said, that guy was at South Carolina. That guy was at Wisconsin. That guy was at Minnesota. See, they're going up against guys like Gerard Pringle and Dante Simpson, who's playing for the first time. This is the first time they're playing in college football. So what kind of letdown? These guys are out there trying to get experience at the college football level. So, no. And here's the thing, too. Bethune-Cookman, not a great team, but they had kids, so they're going to make, plays against guys that have never played before, especially because they didn't really play any 2s or 3s. They played like their 1s because they're not going to get a chance to play a team like Miami all the time. So, for those people who said that it was a letdown, don't know football. So I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go there. Miami dominated in every single way possible. Plus, Miami's recruiting Woody's son, so you don't want to get the guy pissed off. So
I know him and me and Vish spoke about this a little bit after the game. And him and Mario are really good friends from the Oregon days as well. So
and Woody's a good dude, and like I said, his son's over at Port Orange Spruce Creek and a stud. But not only that, obviously, and I'm sure Willie Simmons and him were good friends too. Willie put 40-something points on the board against her. You just do what you got to do. Miami's 1s, if they would have stayed in, the whole game, it'd have been like 70-0. I mean, let's face it. I mean, right now you're seeing for all those naysayers as far as Beck, and I was pretty much one of them because I didn't think he had any spring, and he didn't really have much of a, early summer. But you could see he's so comfortable back there. He goes through progressions. He's cerebral. And he's going to do that against Notre Dame. He's going to do that against everybody. So it doesn't really matter. So I'm real comfortable with him. The offensive line's stupid. They just keep getting better and better every freaking week. And C.J. Daniels has not made an easy catch yet. Every damn catch he makes.
Even that hitch.
Even that little crazy play, but everybody's they ran well. Fletcher ran well, you're gonna get kids back slowly but surely. How can anybody make anything over that? Because they're not beating East Texas State 77-6. Who cares? What does that mean?
What, the word I would use right now for Carson Beck is surgical, right? Yeah. There's a difference between watching him and Cam Ward play. Cam Ward is a little more exciting, right? You were excited to see what he was going to do, how he was going to make this incredible throw or find a way to get out of something, right? Carson Beck, and this is not a knock on either one, but they're two different quarterbacks. Carson Beck, you go in there, you see his calm, his poise in the pocket, how surgical he is with his reads, how he's able to get to his checks and throw the ball, in the flat if he has to. Like he is so precise in the way that he goes about his, his game. It's really impressive to see that. And
he's more textbook. If you look at a textbook and say, well, this is how you play quarterback, that's the way he does it. See, Cam Ward is, hey, go to the Volvo taillights and I'll hit you, that type of stuff. Or, he's more of a street football type of guy, and he improvises. I don't think there's an improvisational bone in what's his name, Carson Beck's body. He doesn't do that. Everything is scripted for him, and he just goes he goes through his progressions, and he knows where he's looking. Listen, nobody on this schedule from now on is going to throw anything at him that he's never seen. Okay, I don't care what a great defensive coordinator this team or that team has. He's seen it all. And he doesn't panic. He shows emotion. I think it's almost forced emotion because he's got so many young kids on the team that want to be enthusiastic. But he's as my buddy would say, he's a 12-year senior, and he's a guy who's been around. And nothing really surprising.
I think that's great for the young guys. I think that's
he's no worry to me. It's because he's got everything in front of him, and listen, when you got a fortress like he has in front of him, the offensive line, I watched, because that's what I focus on during those games. I'll watch and I'll see who does what up front, even the second team offensive line. Now, that second team offensive line has more experience than the Miami second team defensive line. So you're going to get guys, that are in there that have like Okunlolo's a second team guy. And, but then, you get to see a Buchanan, or you get to see guys like of that nature, SJ, who played really well. And I think when people like to be nitpicky as hell.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's a nitpickiness, which is fine. I get you have to figure if you have to nitpick about something, you might nitpick about, well, hey, maybe Kinsler didn't play great, or maybe you saw that, on the defensive side of the football, the line, they were young, so maybe they missed a couple of gaps here and there. You saw Kellen Wiley was all over the place. He led the team in tackles, but you also saw that he missed a few gaps, and and they got a couple yards. That's gonna happen. Like my problem is this is my bone that I'm picking with the Canes fans is that all of a sudden a lot of people are panicking and they're freaking out. Oh my gosh, why didn't we score 70 points? Oh my gosh, why did we look so bad in the second team? And I'm like, what are we talking about here? Take a step back and relax.
Yeah.
The team, easily 45.
You're not going to see much of the second team the rest of the way this year, so don't worry.
That's number one. Number
not
two,
like
it
that.
gives them an opportunity to get some playing time in case they do need to come in.
100%. And
you did see some really good things from Bryce Fitzgerald, who plays with the ones a lot, right? That kid's going to be a monster.
He's going to be a monster.
You got Jabari Antoine that got some playing time.
A lot of playing time.
Got, Isaiah Taylor, right? Jason Taylor's son.
He played a little bit
for most of the second half. Those are guys that, you got to get some playing time. You got to let them go out there and experience this against the ones of another team, regardless of how good or how bad they are, right? And then on the other side of the football, look, we know who Emory Williams is. Although, look, some of the throws that he made, obviously you're like, ooh, I wish he could have had that one back again. The one to Ray Joseph was a touchdown, but he threw a really nice.
But even he took responsibility. He came back and same thing that Carson Beck did early in the game when he overthrew. He pointed at him and said, "That's on me."
Right.
That was his first incomplete, I guess.
But he also threw a gem to Josh Moore in the end zone that the guy made a decent little play at the end. Josh Moore maybe should have caught that either way. But like what I'm trying to say is I think your running backs, Hellcat did a nice job, ran hard.
Yeah.
Pringle obviously
did,
out. Yeah. So you got some.
And Emory put a ball right on the nose in the end zone. That was a touchdown. That was he put it right up on his shoulders, right here, and he just so you can't fault him for that. But again, too, for those of you guys that want to be critical, they use this film to evaluate what those kids did. Like, there's a couple of times that Dante Simpson stepped in the wrong hole and the guy went right by him. He did that twice.
Yep,
so
I saw it.
So you put this in the film, and today they're in the defensive meeting room. They go, Dante, look, let's stop it right here. You see what you did? See, that's the only education you can get is by being on the job. And DJ, you know that. I mean, you get in a situation where you're going to get actual game film. From playing a game and not so much in a practice. So now you could really evaluate, when offensive people aren't holding up, they're going 100%, and you can say, hey, listen, you overran that.
Yeah, this isn't about necessarily beating a team 75-0, as it is a chance to develop your players. And sometimes development comes with mistakes here and there, and sometimes it may lead to 0 points in the second half, and players may make errors, but that's what you use these types of games for. And, it's all about developing your program within and giving these players the opportunity to actually get on the field, get game speed, get up to speed during the game. And so I know fans want to beat, a team badly, but from a coaching perspective, this is a chance to evaluate everything that you have so you can either feel more confident heading into the next couple weeks or know what things you have to work on so that by the time November, December rolls around, hopefully playoff time, those players will be ready to go too.
All that being said, I think fans need to kind of cool it and realize that we got a hell of a football team here that's gonna win some big games. Because now, a lot of people are talking about like, well, I don't know, man. Oh my God, Pitt looks really good, and oh my God, Louisville doesn't look that good. But now USF looks really good, and oh my God, CJ Bailey at NC State. Like, calm down. It's game 2 of the damn season, and we're the number 5 ranked team in the country. I mean, come on, what are we freaking out about? Relax. Everybody's freaking out. Oh my God. All right, we're going to be able to play against this team because Dante Simpson missed a gap. Relax, guys. Jesus Christ. All that being said.
So
Rich, is there anything you could improve on?
Well, look, I think there's a couple of things. First of all, I don't know that we need to look, we know what our fans are. And there's a little bit of well, they're that, and there's also PTSD,
sure.
Right? I mean,
right, fair enough.
So I get it. I just don't think we need to respond to ignorance necessarily, which is what that is. No one gives a crap at the end of the season what happened in the Bethune-Cookman game. So I think move past that. I do think on the backup quarterback situation, look, it's the same player we've seen for 2 years now. And yes, if he has to be the full-time starter, we're screwed. And that's the case with every other team in college football. So whatever. who's winning the championship with their backup quarterback? No one is.
Not many. Yeah.
No one is. No one has a backup that they can stick in there and still win the championship. This is not 10 years ago where like Ohio State has 3 starting caliber quarterbacks because everyone hits the portal. No one's backup is good enough to win the championship. So that's just the reality of it. So we're just like everyone else. If people are like looking for a security blanket that like, oh, Carson Beck's going to go down, everyone's going to come, we're not going to miss a beat, you're out of your mind. Like, I don't know what they expect to see, but like, he's the backup quarterback. Like, he's not going to win you the championship. Like, that's the reality of it. Yep. But I do think a little bit in the pass defense, I think we could tighten up. I know they weren't taking risks in their passing game, but they were very efficient. You got to force a little bit more incompletions, I think, just a little bit tighter in coverage. I don't know that we did our best job in coverage. I'm assuming the coaches, when they look at the film, will see that. So I think that's an area that could potentially improve on. But again, it's hard when you're mixed, especially, Blue mentioned and you mentioned, Jazz, that we're rolling in all these backups and all that haven't played together. You really see that in pass coverage when you're like trying to play zone and pass guys off and you haven't really played as a unit together. You're going to make mistakes because we saw a couple of busts. But it's hard to, it's Bethune-Cookman. We're working on stuff. It's like criticizing practice almost by the time you get to the second quarter. It's just like, that's why you practice.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's hard
to
be critical.
I guarantee you're right. Like they're working on things as the game is progressing. Hey, maybe if we do this might work. And then there's a busted coverage. And you're like, oh, shit, okay, maybe that doesn't work. Right? That happened once with Keontae Scott got caught looking, at the quarterback, and they flew that ball right over his head. Which, okay, and those are little things that you got to work on and say, hey, stop watching the quarterback, right? But keep to your assignment, keep to your coverage. I think the one that you and I, Vish, pointed out right away was that 3rd and 12 that they threw that out route that Damari Brown got there a little late. And it's like, dude, you can't give him that much space on 3rd and 12, right? You got to tighten up a little bit. You can't be afraid of that guy busting one over the top on you, especially if it's Bethune-Cookman. Those are little things that I think you can work on. Maybe, some gap assignment stuff with some of your other younger guys, but you're going to get some guys back this week, and we'll talk about it in a second, that I think are going to alleviate some of those issues. DJ, is there anything you think, real quick, that maybe Miami can improve on, aside from what maybe Vish spoke about a little bit there?
Well, aside from what Vish spoke about, not really, because that was one of my big things too. Some situations in pass coverage weren't the best. Like just even going back to the Notre Dame game when CJ Carr ran out of the pocket and we kind of lost him, and he was able to find a touchdown in the back of the end zone. And then against Bethune-Cookman, just these 5-yard completions. It adds up when you get to the middle of the game and things like that. So just maybe a little bit more disruptive plays from the secondary and maybe a bit more of a pass rush. But like you guys mentioned, Bethune-Cookman was also trying to drain the clock, right, and keep not make any too explosive plays, just to kind of hold on for dear life. So I don't know if Bethune-Cookman was necessarily the best judge to criticize pass rush, but I would love to see more pass rush and a little bit tighter secondary. Other than that, I have no complaints.
Yeah, I know they were doing a lot of things to mitigate that pass rush, right? That's why you saw the quarterback was like 8 of 12. Well, the minute he got the ball, he was just boom, dumping it off. And so it looks like he's completing these passes, but it was like he was like 8 of 12 for like 70 yards. So it wasn't like maybe even that, if that. I think that one busted coverage throw was the one that was the longest, but. Either way, look, I think you saw some things kind of fix themselves out as well, with the sense of with that rollout that the quarterback had on that 4th down in the end zone, towards the end zone, where against Florida Dame we screwed that one up a little bit. We left the guy open. This one, Bryce Fitzgerald dives in front of does one in front of one of the receivers and picks it off. So those are the type of things that you work on. You say, hey, I got to stay where I'm at. Don't get freaked out and don't go crazy after the play breaks down a little bit. Kind of stick to what you know where you got to be and be there. And he was there, and he made a good play on that ball and got the interception. We kind of talked about all that real quick before we shift gears to USF. Just some news on a couple of players for the Miami Hurricanes. It was kind of, the writing was on the wall a little bit. I know there were reports out there that Markeith Williams had been dismissed from the football program previously for some violations that he had, and he has now ultimately jumped in the transfer portal, which was kind of something that we all spoke about a little bit in the offseason that could happen. Never really could find his footing, never could really gain the weight that I think Miami really wanted him to gain to be a really good safety here. Had a lot of tools, had a lot of, natural gifts to play the position, but I think that there was just a couple of things that were missing. And ultimately, whatever the case was, whatever happens. Blue, what are your thoughts on Markeith entering the transfer portal? I know we've talked about it a lot in the offseason as well, about the talent of the kid.
Yeah, well, I think if it was a fit, it would have happened a while back. I think there was a lot of ongoing things. So, yeah, tough to see quality guys like that go, but there's always a reason. There's an underlying reason. He's really good, like I said, really good talent. But, it's just there's too many guys working too hard, to make this thing go for, somebody to kind of bring the team down a little bit. So I thought I thought maybe it was time. It was time. He's been with the program 4 years.
Right. I think he if he lands out of like a Bethune or a FAMU, I think it's a
Whatever.
great spot.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great spot for him. I think he'd do something there.
But he's from Orlando, so he may go to UCF. So you never know.
There you go. I mean, yeah, that might be an opportunity for him to play. Speaking of safety, I know I'm gonna throw this. It's something that I was thinking about, but I just realized that. Are you guys surprised to see Bobby Pruitt, play a little safety last week? This past week.
He's a tweener, so no.
But he actually played legit safety. I saw him back there, which was nice to see. I think he's got the ability to play, because I know he's on the bigger side, but he's still a guy that's quick, right? He's probably a 4.5. Yeah. He's 210 pounds, maybe. He's not like a huge linebacker. So he has that opportunity to play like that star slash.
It's more the star position. So
yeah. Pretty nice to see. It's pretty good
not
to
surprised.
see.
It's pretty smooth.
And I'll tell you what. Time to test it out. As Vish said, we're testing new things out. Let's test Bobby Pruitt out at safety, and it looked like it worked out.
Keontae Scott is the guy who really.
Yeah, that
different breed, buddy. Play on Sunday, him. Play on Sunday, C.J. Daniels. You could tell. I stood next to him because he was in the post game press conference, and he was the last guy, and I walked out with him, and I'm holy mackerel, he's put together. That's awesome. Yeah, and he's very, very, these guys that are been around for a while, you have a tendency to forget that they've been there, done that before. They're experienced guys. These are guys, next stop NFL type guys. So it's it's fun to see the young kids come in, but at the same time, you see some of these veterans, and
it's nice to see our vets are NFL type guys, man.
Yeah, well, not only that, we've seen them for the first time, so you're figuring, oh, okay, fresh face, as they would say on The Sopranos, popping fresh, but not so much. These guys are, they're ready for the next level. You could just tell, they're. Like when you look at Messidor, I mean, there's a guy looks like, he's ready to board that plane and have someone carry his own luggage for a while. He's that type of guy. But yeah, it's this is a mature group of players, and that's a good thing. Even the younger kids are more mature, and in the press conference after the game, when somebody like C.J. Daniels, he goes, the crazy thing is he goes, I look up to somebody like Malachi Tony. He's 5 years younger than me. He says, he goes, it's funny. You get here at 4:30. You hear, hey, by the way, who's over there at 4:30 in the morning working out is Malachi Tony, and you think, holy Christmas, I better get my butt over there. He pushes them. And you don't get a 17-year-old kid that's pushing veteran kids like that. But that's the type of makeup that this team has. I mean, you look on both sides, you got a quarterback who, has been there, done that. You've got receivers. You got your offensive line now that are, that are veterans, and and then you look at Ryan Rodriguez, who's been around for a while, so he's got a kind of a grasp, and he's kind of become that leader, and and guys like Buchanan, people are looking up to him, and you look at the running back room, and Gerard Pringle said, I look at some of the veteran guys, like Marty Brown. He says, you look at Marty Brown and the work ethic he has. And I've never seen Marty Brown without a shirt, but from all they said this guy, you could strike a match off his body. That's I've seen him, but he said that his work ethic, he gets in that weight room in the off season, and these younger kids have to understand that they're not penalizing you. You got to get in the weight room. That's how you stay away from injury. You get bigger and stronger, and you stay away from injuries, and you don't get nicked up as much. And that's why I hope what's the name, running back, can't think of his name, but that who gets hurt a lot
on our team.
Yeah,
Fletcher.
Yeah, Fletcher. He had a great off season of weight room. If you look at his body physically, so I'm sure they said, hey, listen, that's how you stay injury free. By getting in that weight room and working on your legs and working on your upper body to ensure that you're not going to get hurt. There's a lot of guys, that are, not that you could see, like Wesley Bassane, who put on some really good weight. And, I thought Muhammad Toure got in there and played some good ball, especially after Wesley. And I voiced my opinion. I never say anything in press conferences, but I said to Mario, there's got to be degrees of targeting. That's bull crap. You could see when there's intent. Like at the end of the game, the guy from Bethune-Cookman, when the Miami and he comes in with his, helmet to helmet, just came in right now. That's should be a suspension. Right. Not with Wesley.
I thought that was a good solid tackle. But
all he did was he came up, and then you can't predict what the runner or the offensive guy is going to do with his body. Right. So he comes in at one angle, and all of a sudden the other guy makes one move. And I really think there should be degrees of that. Okay, call a personal foul, but he shouldn't be kicked out for that. Now, what if that was a Notre Dame game? What was that? What if that was this week? What if that was one of the games you needed a leader like that? 1-2 plays in and he's gone? Yeah. That's bullshit. Sorry. But I don't agree with it. And then you get all these guys, oh, well, and then the officials gotta, they gotta, come up with all this bull crap and, like, oh, well, was it intent? And you can tell when something is in, when you lead with your head right into another guy's helmet, that's an intent. Yep. But when you're coming to make a tackle and then that guy puts his head down, that shouldn't be on you. Right. And and I felt bad for him because you play two plays and they counted on him. I know it gave Smith and a couple of other guys an opportunity to get some reps, but you don't want it that way. But that's my opinion on that. You don't agree, the hell with you. I don't give a shit. That's just my opinion. I think that's the way it should be. And I think at rules committee, they should go over that and examine, what is a flagrant, in basketball, what is a flagrant foul, right? So you understand.
That's debatable also, right?
Sometimes, but that's what these guys making good money to be referees, to use their goddamn judgment.
Referees, God knows they have their own agendas.
I hear you, but you know what, Jazz? They're getting good money to use their judgment. And right. that's my point, and they're looking right at these damn plays, and then when you're not, then use replay. Yep. And then look at that replay and say, oh yeah, you're right. He didn't come in there with the intent of trying to, go helmet to helmet and knock the guy out. He came in to make the play and the guy put his head down. We'll call it a penalty, 15 yards, but that bitch shouldn't be gone for a game. That's stupid.
Yeah, it was stupid.
That just and I said that, and America goes, I don't want to get into the rules, but you know what? The whole thing is a game like that. He does that in the Notre Dame game, or he does that this week, or in one of the ACC games. It could cost Miami because there's a guy with 47 games under his belt. That's a lot of experience.
I agree.
Anyway.
As we keep going on here before, speaking of well put together, I know some people have been mentioning on the chat. We'll get into some people on the chat. I know they had some questions. They were talking about some stuff there real quick. Hayden Lowe is out for the season with an undisclosed injury. Hate to see it happen to a kid that, was potentially going to come in and get some playing time this year. But hey, look, it happens, right? Those are the type of things that happen sometimes. You can't control that. And all I can say, he's going to come back better and stronger and be a really impressive player next year. So we hope the best, a speedy recovery for Hayden Lowe. Sad to see, but this is a good reason why we have some good depth in the defensive line, right? I know McConaughey is supposedly coming back very soon as well. And we might as well get into it before we talk about it. But it looks like Armando Blunt, JoJo Trader, and Mr. Lyle, Jordan Lyle, is going to be back for the game. They were held out this past week, just as precaution. Except JoJo Trader is the one that bothers me the most. I think he's got to get healthy, and he's got a knack for being injured, and it's hard to see his talent when he is not on the field. Before we talk about our second sponsor, Vish, did you want to go? Is there anything we wanted to go over here in the chat really quick? I know a lot of people are talking about Dylan Upshaw, going to sneak and take playing time away from somebody. I mean, from who? It's not going to be from any of the starting guys that we see out there right now. I think he's just going to be involved. I think Tony Johnson's going to be involved as well. If we're talking about maybe JoJo Trader, it might be because he's never on the field anyways, right? So that's but all the other the wide receivers have been impressive, Vish. So I don't know if you're really going to take any playing time away. If you do, it's because you're balling out of control. And I think that right now all our wide receivers have been pretty impressive. I don't know if you feel otherwise, that Upshaw can come in and take anybody's spot.
No, he caught some.
He looked good. He looked good. He did what he had to do.
He's not going against. Look, he's going against Bethune's backups. Let's relax here a little bit. These other guys made plays against Notre Dame's secondary, which is one of the best in the country. So let's calm down there a little bit. Lyle has not played. So
he played like 4.
He got like a series and got injured. So I don't know. He was very sluggishly injured last weekend. So maybe let him get healthy. He had a long touchdown against USF last year.
He did. That's right. He brought that.
No, I will take this time to just call out Slade Chaconi. 7.1 no-hit innings, then he gave up a hit. He threw 8 shutout innings for the Guardians today, so he is dealing. So I'll give a shout to the Kings baseball player instead of speculating on whatever's going on.
Who's he with, Cleveland or Arizona?
Yeah, he's with the Guardians.
Cleveland. These are the Guardians. I mean, we got like a whole. That's the Cleveland.
I know they
Hurricanes.
have several.
They have Kafis on the. They have Walters, who's hurt right now, and they have who else did they bring up? Was Saccone? Who else did they, right?
They have a fourth one. I'm spacing on it, but there's a fourth kid on that too.
Yep, there is. Good for them, man. That's awesome. Yeah, he was a stud. Oh my God, that COVID year pisses me off so much. Anyways, hey, Matty Bridges is in the house. What's up, Matty Bridges? Targeting was finally some physical. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the targeting a little bit. Dante Simpson, yeah, he looked good. The one that surprised me, Cole McConaughey, yeah, number 44 is we need you now, bro. I mean, that's another thing. Like, a lot of people are talking about, like, this, they're freaking out about the defensive line. I mean, the depth is there. Why are we freaking out so much about the defensive line? Like, you got the number 1 player in the country, maybe. But he's in the Heisman race now, by the way. Ruben Bain is in the top 10 in Heisman voting after week 2. How about that? Okay?
Yeah.
How about that? Shout out. And Carson Beck is number 2. So much for him, being a slouch, right? Anyways, Lyle looks sluggish. So, yeah, we've talked about that. No. Yeah. All right. Anyways, I think we need someone who can get more than 10 yards after getting to the second level at running, third level, excuse me, or third and 3 ND, not 3 ND. Third, I think you meant third level. Running back. Man, I'm happy with our wide receivers and our running backs. I mean, it's hard to knock, what those guys are doing. Marty Brown obviously did his thing against Notre Dame. So did Fletcher. Jordan Lyle's explosive. I think you just got to give him a shot to get something going. You know, I know that's what you meant, bro. The Thurkin. Anyways, moving forward. We're going to talk about here a little bit the big matchup. It's a big matchup against South Florida. But before that, let's give a shout out to another sponsor that we have here. It's You Break Will Fix Fish. Let me know when you're ready and I can go. And you're ready, so I will go. Have you ever run over a pothole so hard your steering wheel shakes, constantly losing air in your tires that you need to keep adding air? Chances are there's an issue with your wheels. A You Break Will Fix is your solution. You Break Will Fix is Miami's premier wheel repair and restoration company with over 20 years of experience and located in North Miami. You Break Will Fix offers quick repairs for damaged wheels and in most cases can offer free loaner wheels to keep you on the road while repairing your damaged wheels. If your wheels are looking weathered and it's time to freshen up your car, don't replace those wheels, refinish them. Their in-house wheel refinishing solutions such as powder coating, machining, and polishing will give your car the like new look it deserves. So contact Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 or on all social media outlets at You Break Will Fix. That's the letter You Break Will Fix. Mention 5 Reasons Sports and get 5.5% off your next repair. Check them out. It's You Break Will Fix powder coating and wheel repair. 305-748-0112. Vish, we got a big one. We got a big one coming up on Saturday, bigger than I think we expected. As I mentioned, Lyle, Blunt, and JoJo are presumed to be back. I gotta ask this, Vish. How good do you think the University of South Florida is? Right, they obviously went to they beat Boise State, who's ranked 25th in the country, and they beat them, and then they went into the swamp and beat the Florida Gators, who I think were ranked 13th or 14th at the time that played them. To me, that Boise State team is terrible. Ashton Genty was everything there. They're not a very good football program, but USF did their thing and blew them out. What's your take on this USF team?
I mean, they're okay. I think, we did talk a bit about Florida in the schedule preview, and they're the team that I expected. They're not good. So, I mean, it's still a tough place to go win a football game. So credit to USF for that. But I think we've probably inflated them a little bit. You mentioned Boise State. They lost a lot from last year's playoff team. They did outgain USF. They fumbled 3 times, which kind of handed USF the game on a silver platter. So that score's a little misleading, but USF was the better team clearly and won that game this weekend. I mean, it was partially USF executing, partially. I mean, Florida is just a comedy of error. I mean,
Yeah, he just mentioned it, right?
Yeah. I mean, everyone's blaming the kid for spitting, which is obviously stupid and disgusting too. But like. That made it 1st and 10 USF on their own 39. Like, someone else gave up all those yards so they could chip the field goal. And at the last, it wasn't the dude who spit. He got them out to the 40. Like, that's not automatically a chip shot field goal with all the time gone. And, I think that's kind of covered for how bad UF is fundamentally. Because everyone just blamed him for spitting as if they were definitely going to win. It was going to be 2nd and 10 on the 24. The way their defense was playing, was that going to hold up? I don't know. But the winning margin was actually a punt where UF snapped the ball over the punter's head through the back of the end zone for a safety. That was the 2 points that ended up deciding the game. So there's just errors everywhere. They're not a well-coached team, and USF, to their credit, is. And so they took advantage of all of those mistakes and went out there and won the game. Their quarterback's a pain in the ass. He's going to make some plays that are going to be annoying. But I think the one thing that this Canes team, as much as it annoyed fans against Notre Dame, the one thing that this Canes team has done this year is they will pound you into submission. I just don't think USF's front can hold up. It's not very big, and the Canes offensive line is, and it's dominant. I think they'll be able to manhandle USF's defense up front, and it'll be a comfortable win.
Yeah, DJ, I saw someone talk about, as Vish mentioned, their defensive line, USS defensive line, and some guy, defensive tackle was like 280 pounds, and our we average about 320 on that line. So from that perspective, I think that you run the ball, you run it down their throat, you continue to pound them and tire them out, so that in that fourth quarter, when you bring in a Marty Brown or when you bring in Jordan, whoever it is, I don't care who it is, Hellcat if you want, or bring in Pringle for crying out loud, I don't care. You got an opportunity to really break their will and continue. Now, look, as Vish mentioned, right? Byron Brown he's a bad dude, man. He's a good quarterback. He's tough. He's tough to contain. You're obviously gonna have to put a spy on him for a lot. A lot of time. You're gonna have to get to him. You're gonna have to get to him with 3 or 4 guys. Miami has the dudes to do that, to get to him with 3 or 4 guys, so that you can play. So you can cover, so you can make sure that, he doesn't have forever to throw. If you can get to him with 4 guys, then he's not, right? Then you're going to have to mix it up. I think Heatherman's going to have to mix it up a little bit. But at the same time, like, they scored 18 points, right? They scored 18 points against the Gators. They didn't score 48 points against the Gators. So I'm not saying that as a knock on them. I'm just not – their offense is – here's the thing, right? They're well coached, as Vish said. They execute, they rally to the football on defense, they tackle well, those type of things. But now you're put to the test, and quite frankly, I think Miami's going to be put to the test as well to play against an unorthodox type of quarterback that can throw the ball a little bit down the field, but he's going to use his legs a lot to throw you off. What do you think about this USF team? Going in, as they come in on Saturday to play the Canes.
I think they're a very gritty team. I don't think they're going to obviously score 50 points a game, but I think that they're very disciplined and very well coached. And if you make mistakes, they'll do whatever they can to capitalize on it. Brown is a talented quarterback. He can beat you, like you said, both with his arm and with his legs. So I think it will be interesting to see if Miami can generate pressure early and often. Because Brown is the type of quarterback that can extend plays, if you give him a lot of time in the pocket. So I'm curious to see the matchup between Brown and the Miami defensive line. Now, I don't think this USF team is anything to be worried about necessarily offensively, like, say, Notre Dame was, for example. But I do think they can score on you, and I do think if you give them enough opportunities, that discipline and that sort of ability to, make the most of the opportunities they're given could, backfire on you. So I don't think it's going to be I'm kind of torn whether it's going to be a close game or a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I don't think it's going to be, a 3-point game. But I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park for Miami. I think they're going to get tested, but I think the offensive line and, like you said, Marty Brown, I call him the closer running back because, when he's in the game, it's time to, close the game, turn out the lights. That's the goal. So I think the combination of the running game and Miami's offensive line will overpower USF.
Well, it's good. I'm happy you mentioned that as far as score because Blue, we beat them 50-15 last year. This was a team that had that little kid, that little wide receiver.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was eating us up. Yeah, he was eating us up. Yet they only scored 15 points, and we were able to hold down Byron Brown. I don't know if their offense is much better. If they are, than they were last year. To be quite honest with you, I just think that Byron Brown's a better quarterback than he was. He's developed a little bit, but. Again, you got to be able to have weapons to be able to throw the ball to and things of that nature. I don't know if they are as good as, again, I'm not trying to knock them, but like they beat Boise State great, and they beat a not very good Florida team, if you ask me, and clearly a very poor coached Florida team who should have beat them either way. But to me, I think this is an opportunity for Miami to shut a lot of people up, and that includes our fans. Some of our fans are freaking out. Oh my God, this guy is unsackable, as someone mentioned in the chat. We're not going to be able to stop him. We beat him 50-15 with a terrible defense last year. We need to be able to do the same thing. Go watch tape, okay? And I think this Miami football team is too damn good to lose this football game. Like, let's just go. I mean, what are we freaking out again? What are we freaking out about so much? If this team is as good as we all think they are, they're gonna go to watch the film. Okay, he's gonna get his yards. He's gonna do his thing, as Vish said. He's gonna annoy the hell out of us a little bit, right? Maybe on like a 3rd and 8, boom, he's gonna get 12 yards, and we're gonna be like, shit, we should have gotten. What the hell happened? It's gonna happen, all right. But that's football, and they're not a terrible team. They're a pretty good team. Vish, Blue, what do you think? What do you think about this USF team as a whole, and when they come down here to play Miami this weekend?
Well, the one thing that they do have, they have 9 graduated seniors starting guys. That 9 graduates. So they have guys they have 9 kids that are 23 years old. So they've got they got experience in that fact that that they've got guys who played a lot of football. Brown presents problems because of the fact, as you said, he's a big kid. He's not like a short kid. The only way that USF realistically stays in the game is if Miami makes mistakes and keeps them in the game. Fumbles the ball, throws a pick, gives them, let's say they grab a 7-0 lead or a 10-0 lead, just for the hell of it, on mistakes and stuff like that. Then you're talking. But the more that Miami scores and that offensive line wears them down throughout the course of a game, it's going to make, as good as Golish is and as good as Kevin Patrick and, Coach Orlando, who's a really good coordinator, and, they've got people they got really good coaching staff. I spent a lot of time with them during the summer for the last 2 summers. But if they can't make adjustments, if you give them nothing to make adjustments, they're not going to be able to make them. And that's the one thing. They're not going to score a lot unless you lay the ball on the ground and you make mistakes. If Miami leans on them and, let's say, gets drives of 75 and 80 yards by the 4th quarter, they'll be dead. They're just not going to be able to put up with future NFL guys leaning on them for 4 quarters. It's just going to be impossible. They're going to come up with schemes and they're going to make plays. Because they did in both of the games that they've played, against, and, like I said, the drop off at Boise, Ashton Genty was 85% of their damn offense last year. So they don't have anybody remotely like that. Florida's offense is horrible. They really are. I mean, for as much potential as they have, with Wilson and Vernell Brown and Webb and Baugh and all those guys like that, they don't make plays. Miami can make plays. Miami has enough weapons, as you guys mentioned. They're going to get some people back. I think they're going to run the ball. They're going to impose their will on them. And from Miami's standpoint, if they stick to their game, this should be like a 34-14 game. If they impose their will and do what they should do. If they start making mistakes, because early on, that that USF's going to come, they're going to come out of the corner and they're going to throw haymakers. They are, because they got nothing to lose. They're going to try to knock Miami off. They're going to try to do a lot of things, and they're going to try to adjust. And it's going to be awfully tough to adjust against a team as talented and deep as Miami. So that's where I think I sit on the game. USF will be a problem if you let them. Like last year in the first half, Miami gave up chunk yards, gave up those long runs, but then they made adjustments because Miami had the personnel to make the adjustments. I do think that USF is going to come out and either Miami is going to play their game or make mistakes. And if they make mistakes, then it's a game. If they don't, it won't be. It's just because Miami's talent at every single position is better than theirs. Every single position. There's not one player, maybe Grammatica, but you can't even say that because Miami, Miami's
talking
actually
about Florida Davis
yeah.
like that, right?
I will say this:
Yeah,
Connecticut
'cause
came up short.
Miami
Short
set a
from 58
record
yards.
last
Carter Davis would have made it.
That's
58
right.
yards. Connecticut
Yes.
came up short.
Yeah.
Carter
Well,
Davis
here's
would
the
have had
thing too. They were quick to give Carson Beck his 15 of 15 being a record. Well, what about Miami? Never have I ever remembered Miami having 3 kickers that scored in a game like last week. Even Will Rocha, man, he scored. He
That's
had that
awesome.
last extra point. Bird
Good for
Auburn
him.
face. You know, I mean, so you had 3 guys. But
That's fun.
yeah, that's the way I look at it. Miami's a better team. But if they keep them in the game, that's what's going to happen. So but I just think that Miami can make adjustments. USF, it's going to be tougher because they don't have the personnel.
Right.
Like I say, you always have to make adjustments. You have to have the personnel. And I think that by getting, some of the players back that Miami desperately needs, they're just gonna, they're gonna give up a couple of plays. There's no doubt. That's just the way it is. But the whole thing is Miami's just got to hold serve, and they've got to. They can't make mistakes. As soon as they start throwing, Other than that, I just don't see it. I just
say it's easy. I think it's more than our fans. It's probably the national media reacting to them beating UF because they thought UF was good. I don't think our fans ever did. We saw them play last year, and I will say in terms of like the Cane schedule, this is probably not even the top half of their more difficult games on paper. And I get USF went and won a game last week, but that again, UF gift wrapped. I still think UF in 2 weeks will be the tougher game because they actually have players that can make play. Like to Blue's point, the Canes have to give this game away to lose it. Like USF's not going to go take it. The Canes have to give it to them, and UF, if they play clean, actually have some players that can cause
because they got those recruits. So
that's a more difficult game. FSU's more difficult. Louisville's more difficult. Obviously, Notre Dame was. Like there are more challenging games on the schedule than this. This is just go out there, execute, and you'll be fine. So I don't think Canes fans are worried about that. And as much as like everyone wants to hype this game up, oh, they beat UF, like spread 17. Like that's a middle of the road ACC team, and that's that you get that same spread against, and that's probably what USF is. They're kind of a middle of the road ACC team.
Yeah. I was reading this. Florida should put 8 in the box. You're not going to put 8 in the box against because Brown could throw. So all of a sudden he's going to hit his tight end, or he's going to hit somebody like 11, 12 yards up the field. And
but also, they gave up the Florida gave up 16 points because you can't fault them for that snap over the punter's head for the 2 points that decide the game. So you give up
but that's part of the
points
game, though, Bish. It's going to happen.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like Florida should have put 8. What were they going for the shutout? They gave up 16 points. That should have been enough to win the football game. So I don't think if you're looking at Florida and why they lost the game, I'm not really looking at their defense. I'm looking at their offense being unable to execute. Florida had the ball at like midfield with 2.5 minutes left or whatever, and threw twice for incompletions instead of just running the clock out. Like they have all sorts of reasons they lost that game. Their defense is not really one of them.
So is that your position, Blue? 34-14?
Yeah, something like that.
All right. What do you got, Vish? What's your prediction on this one?
Probably somewhere in this. The spread 17. The Canes will cover that. I'll go to 40s, 41-10.
41-10. DJ.
31-13.
31-13. Okay. Spread is 10. You said? 17.
17.
Okay. I'll go.
17-0.
18-1.
There you go. You win. Tell him what he wanted.
You get pretty good odds on if you put that exact score down on a hitting. I think you'll basically be able to put $1 down and get $1 million if you hit it. So
that'd be pretty crazy. I'm gonna go. I'll be in the 30s. I'll go 33-14.
Hey, that's pretty close to mine.
Yeah. Like 33.
Sean had 34-13.
Okay. Yeah, I think we all got more or less right around there. So
Hurricane Sean. Off the coast of Florida.
Yeah, hopefully shots on the list this year, right?
Oh boy.
that username might become a bad thing.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Blue. I know we'll see some recruits. I know the Southridge quarterback just committed to USF recently. Peroni, I think his last name is.
Yeah, he's a 27 kid.
The
So
27 kid. You think any? We'll have some recruits at this game, but
not a whole lot. But they'll have more than they probably would have. But last week they had a couple last week. I did get it. I know we didn't go into our high school segment, but I did go get a chance to see Javion Mallory, Miami's running back.
We're going to right now. This is your spot right here, baby.
Yeah, there I go. I went up to I read the show notes. I prepared. So that's something I haven't done in the past. But no, I went up and watched Bergen Catholic play against West Boca and saw Mallory. And yeah, he ran tackle to tackle, which I liked. He didn't really blow them away, but that was a good team. They actually had a couple of Miami future recruits who were at the game. Bergen Catholic on Saturday, 28 defensive back, 27 defensive back. So they but he ran well. He scored once. I put it on video and got a lot of hits on that. And so I had a chance to watch him. I was at Thursday's game, Southridge against Palmetto. And I'll tell you what, one of the targets going to be Trey Proctor, a tight end who transferred from Norland to Southridge. He's a 27 kid, the son of Basil Proctor, former University of Miami Hurricane linebacker out of Edison. So he looked really, really good in that game that I got a chance to see. This week I'll go up and watch West Broward is playing up against Cardinal Gibbons on Thursday. Then I'll see Northwestern in Norland. Dobson playing a little bit more every week. He's gonna be a difference maker when he gets here too. So, there's, in Miami had a fairly good group of recruits. Marcus Benjamin and I were going over a lot of the list of the kids. He goes down to watch them, beforehand and talk to them and see what, So it was good. They had a couple of Armwood kids that came out, to see Pringle. And, so it's Miami's recruiting's done pretty well. And, that's where they're at. They're at a high mode of recruiting, and we'll see what happens. But that was it. Show and tell
for the best part of the show. A little show and tell with Larry Bluestein, baby.
Got a good one today.
Technology, baby. Let's
take
go.
us back 1995. Old Butch Davis on the cover.
Wow, yeah, that's a nice one. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Well, that's year one of Butch Davis, right?
Yep. This is the 95 era, and on the
he
back.
Didn't know what was coming.
Huh?
He didn't know it was coming. They got all those trophies behind him. He went through some lean times.
Yeah, and on the back, I guess the glare's killing it. But Danielle Ferguson, Ray Lewis, Casey Jones, and Carlos Jones on the back. Nice little thing here. In fact, I got somebody asked me the other day if I had this media guide, and I wasn't really sure. But I do now. And my buddy Eric Snap was just a freshman back then. Dwayne Starks was just a freshman. That freshman class last year had Magic Benton, Mondreal Fulcher. You guys were Rod Mack, who was really, really good. Richard Mercier, Michael Smith, who's now coaching up at Lakeland Lake Gibson, Dwayne Starks, Ty Wise. So that was a pretty good class. That was that, as you mentioned, that was one of those classes that kind of defined that program moving forward. But that team also had Twan Russell, Earl Little, Tremaine Mack, who was probably one of the best kick blockers that they had. This was a good This is a good year. Kenny Holmes. There's let's see who else that I saw before that was in here. Jack Hallman, Yatil Green, Jamie German. Good team. A lot of good guys, back then. Gerard Daphnes, Marvin Davis from Homestead.
What was that, 95? Who was the quarterback in 95?
Scott Covington
Covington, right? Yeah, Covington.
and Ryan Clement. Well, Covington was a freshman. Ryan Clement came in. He was
I
a
think
kid
Clement
that day.
was the
James
the
Burgess
starter
was
there.
on that team. Jermaine Chambers. Yeah, this was a good team. Curlin Blaze, who came out of Evans, along with Kennard Lang. Hey, there's Pete Garcia. How you been, Pete?
Hey, look at that.
Larry Coker, Bill Miller on that staff. Not a bad staff.
Oh, not at all.
No, they had Bill Miller, Larry Coker, Chuck Pagano.
Bill Miller would get the boot. So, Bill Miller would get the boot eventually. That's where Shannon came in there.
Archeo was on the staff. Randy
Archeo
Shannon, Donnie
was on the staff
Sullinger.
for 30 years. So.
Rusty Medeiros and Rob Chudzinski were the grad assistants.
Look at that.
That's a pretty good, this is a good thing to have, and then looking back on some of the years. Yeah, this was a really good media guide to have because they had some really good pictures. But that's it. I thought that was a goddamn good show and tell today.
That was quality stuff there from Blue, man.
I've been going through because I'm getting new containers to put my magazines in.
You're gonna need some.
So as I go through them, I get to pick out a lot of good stuff in there, and there's, a lot of good Miami, because I used to get a lot of good Miami on the road programs too. Yep. And back in the late 70s, early 80s, when I wasn't going to the away games, my good friend Sonny Hirsch would bring me back stuff.
Very cool.
He would bring me back a program, a media guide, and a T-shirt from whatever school they went to. So
that's cool. Big Sonny Hirsch. That's cool.
Yeah, that was it.
Guys, as I mentioned, man, we got a big game this week coming up. It'll be played on the CW for all the Canes fans that are freaking out about what channel. It's a local channel. Just put it on a local channel.
You can shove a coat hanger in your TV and get the games.
There you go. 4:30 p.m. start. And to
a rare 4:30 start.
That is related to it being on the CW. So.
Yeah. Speaking of rare, next week the game's either at 7 or 7:30, depending on what happens this week, which is interesting.
You mean the Florida game's at 7:30?
7 or 7:30. They'll confirm. It's on a 6-day hold, but it's one of those two.
So
okay.
So yeah.
An ESPN 7:30 game.
ESPN
or ABC depends on which slot they take. Yeah.
And Florida has who this week? LSU.
LSU.
Yeah, that thing may not start at 7:30. So.
Well, it's either 7 or 7:30. They're
use
one or the other, so it's negligible difference for us.
So it's either ACC network or.
No, it's either ESPN or ABC.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And the other game I think is a South Carolina game. So they're
Missouri, I think.
Yeah. So
So one's going to be at 7, one's going to be at 7:30, but it's on ESPN and ABC. So.
All right.
You have games on PBS. Jesus Christ. Make sure you guys pack the rock this week, man. Go out there and make some noise. Be as loud as you were for that Notre Dame game. Let's go out there. Let's
let's get 55 for that game. I think we can.
They announced, what was it, 61 at the Bethune game?
Oh, did they really?
Something ridiculous like that.
They announced 60,000 last week, so there should be 130 this week.
Well, to be fair, so they do the tickets sold.
I know
I had 16, none of which were scanned. So I went with the press pass, and none of my tickets were scanned. So.
You didn't go in with your ticket?
Yeah.
No, I went and sat in my seat, but it's just easier not having to get your phone out and scan it when there's literally no one there. I can walk in through this gate or that gate and not have to take my phone out. But yeah, so I'm part of the problem because I had 16. I was trying to get no one would take them. Trying to give them away.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's a shame.
Well, because when you give the tickets away, then it's like, okay, now they got to pay for parking, and it's like that's like so expensive too. So,
I did hear for the Louisville game, it's going to be youth football night. So they're going to try to bring in, at least a lot of kids,
right?
Because that's the ultimate trap right there.
That is a Friday game. That'll be a fun time getting to Miami Gardens for a Friday night game. As always, I love it when they put those weekday games. So there's traffic in Miami, so good idea. I'll put that thing on a weekday. Not going to cause any problems.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, can't have them all on Sunday nights.
I would settle for all on Saturday when the games are supposed to be played. I'm just throwing it out there as a concept, you know.
I agree.
Maybe college football on Saturday works.
Money will trump you every time, Vish.
I know.
Make sure you check us out on Twitter or X. Follow us at 6 Rings Canes. Subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is that you get your podcast. And make sure you go onto YouTube and check us out there. Go to the 5 Reasons Sports Network YouTube. Subscribe there. Click the subscribe button, and you can get all our shows there as well. Thank you for everybody who came on and was in the chat, and for all the watchers and for all the rewatch crew. We appreciate it. Make sure you're out there this Saturday, 4:30 p.m. as UM takes on USF. Make sure you pack that place, and let's get loud, Canes fans. We'll see you guys on Saturday, and then we'll see you guys after that for postgame. Anyways, have a good night, and go Canes.
Go Canes.
The 6 Ring Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Ring Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.